Welcome to the Holiday Decor Podcast, your source for the year-round celebration of holiday hope and seasonal cheer. To help you usher season's greetings into your home, here's your host, Ann McDonald.
And I'm not much of a theme-type decorator. Hi, welcome to the Holiday Decor Podcast, Episode 2 for the 2023 season. I hear that a lot. And what's interesting is that in this episode, we're actually going to talk about themed decor. Even if you think it's not right for you, I want you to listen up because I'm going to give you some really concrete tips. We'll be right back after a quick word thanking our sponsors. Are you taking advantage of our new social media accounts? We've created an Instagram page, a YouTube channel, and a Facebook business page just for you, our listeners. So make sure that you are following us first on Instagram at Holiday Decor School. That's right. The handle on Instagram is Holiday Decor School. The next one is our YouTube channel. Are you following us on YouTube? We have a YouTube channel that we created just for you. It's the Holiday Decor Training Institute YouTube channel, and we'll go ahead and link it in our show notes. We want to make sure that you are subscribed to that channel because we are adding videos and reels daily. And finally, we have a Facebook page that we designed just for you. If you are a Facebook fan, you can find us over on the Holiday Decor School page with the URL facebook.com/page/Holiday Decor School. We look forward to your likes, your follows, and your shares. Let's make sure that all of us have a great, happy, healthy, and joyous holiday season. And we'll see you over on our social media platforms. Just need a little help with a couple of small things here and there for your holiday decor? If so, I want to recommend our Tinsel Time Workshops. These are short, bite-sized workshops that you can take advantage of to learn about mantelpieces, how to make fabulous custom pine cones, and all sorts of goodies, specifically the types that we share in our Tinsel Time features. I invite you to go over and visit www.holidaydecorhome.com. Make sure you're on the email list so you don't miss an upcoming Tinsel Time workshop. Like I said, and I'm not really a themed type gal or a themed type guy when it comes to holiday decor. If I had $1 for every time I heard that from one of my clients, who then ended up incorporating at least some of the elements that we're going to talk about in this episode, well, I might not be doing the Holiday Decor Podcast. What do I mean? So this episode, we are going to talk about Winter Wonderland and decorating Whimsy. I'm going to cover a few concrete tips, but before we get there, let's unpack what is Winter Wonderland? What do I actually mean by that? So some of you may be familiar, maybe if you've gone to the craft stores or you've seen display windows at department stores, there is something called the Winter Wonderland decorating look. Now, when I refer to that, I'm talking about fairy lights and woodland creatures and, bark and reindeers and things like that. It's basically, imagine you're in a beautiful Narnia-like forest, the Chronicles of Narnia, and think about having that be your Christmas type decor. So there's this magic and charm, if you will, that comes with adding a little bit of whimsy and Winter Wonderland look to almost any style of holiday decor. Now, a lot of times people are like, Ann, I want a super elegant, beautiful, like very grown up Christmas look. And the truth is we do that very well. We have an entire product line that we actually designed called Majesty. It's kind of our top of the line Range Rover, if you will. if it were a car, for our clients. And you can see more about that in the show notes. But a lot of times, what is required to really bring the decor over the top is adding some of these Winter Wonderland features. Now, what do we want to do when we think about adding Winter Wonderland whimsy into holiday decor without making ourselves look like the local dime store, right? Now, we've all seen those houses, and I have some friends that go way over the top with Christmas, and that's really not my overarching aesthetic. I love a lot of fun. I love a lot of whimsy. You can even see a few bonus trainings over on the website at holidaydecorhome.com, where we have bonus videos. You can follow us on YouTube at Holiday Decor Training Institute. You can follow us on Instagram and see a lot of these little things. But let's unpack what I mean by whimsy for Winter Wonderland. Now, it's important that we remember that decor, when you're decorating something seasonally, it's very different than decorating something year round, right? Now, how many of us have very traditional, white kitchens, or maybe you've got a navy blue kitchen or a gray or a light tan kitchen? You have a kitchen that can stand the test of time. Well, when you're doing seasonal decor, you can experiment a little more because it comes in for a season and then it goes out. So adding whimsy actually gives your eyes, I'm going to do a snap here, so hang on with me. It gives your eyes, like that snap, a way to pop and to focus on something that's very interesting in a normal, otherwise very probably well-designed, but likely conservative-looking overarching home. Now, if you've got an over-the-top home, maybe you've got lots of deep jewel tones and lots of colors and lots of accessories all the time, you might want to pull back on your holiday decor. But for the most part, most of the clients that we work with have very traditional homes, and they don't usually have a lot of stuff in them. So adding a little bit of whimsy without going over the top is very helpful. So how do we do this? Well, one of the first things I want to counsel you on is choosing a color palette. Now, every year we design 3 different lines for holiday. What are those 3 lines? One is called Majesty. And like I said, it's very traditional, very elegant, kind of your Range Rover type car look. It's very traditional, stands the test of time. It's lovely. But the other 2 lines that we design have whimsy in them. One is called Aspen Winter, and as you can guess, it's got browns and maroons and deeper colors. It's got, pine cones are easily incorporated, antlers are easily incorporated, magnolia leaves. It's very textural. And the other line that we design is called Joie de Vivre, and that's got like pinks and blues, and it's a little fresher, a little younger. It works great in like tropical climates and warm locations. But each of those is an ideal place to add whimsy. So what do I mean by that? Well, how many of you remember the old snow globes? Does anybody remember that? The little globes that you would shake up and then the snow would fall. And then sometimes they wouldn't quite get the stuff put in right. And it would always be a little off kilter. And you're like, I wish that I could go in and fix that, right? So snow globes are kind of an example of a microcosm of the whimsy that we look to create. Now, I'm not a big advocate of going out and buying a bunch of snow globes and having those all over your house, or a big advocate of having, all those Christmas tree villages like all over the place. Like some is good, too much can be too much. But the concept behind it is actually something that we want to pull on. So when we are adding specific elements of Winter Wonderland and whimsy, I want to give you 3 concrete tips. Now, right now, we're going to take a quick break to learn one of our Tinsel Time features. I hope you're enjoying these, but we're going to go to Tinsel Time right now. And when we come back, I'm going to give you 3 concrete tips that you can use today for this season's Winter Wonderland and whimsical decor for your home.
Welcome to Tinsel Time, where we enjoy something extravagant every week just for fun. Want a holiday decor look that's sure to impress? Create custom wrapping and tissue paper that matches your existing home decor fabrics. Look to your drapery, furniture, and accent pillows for inspiration. Add in a simple holiday twist like a holly berry or snowflake so it speaks of the holiday season. Anne loves to use custom wrapping on large-scale faux presents beneath Christmas trees as a dramatic statement. Wrap your hostess gifts in your custom creations for an extra special treat. Fancy and fabulous, this intentional couture touch is sure to make lasting memories. See a few pictures in the show notes at holidaydecorhome.com.
All right, what are those 3 tips that we can use to add Winter Wonderland and Whimsy to our holiday home this season? Well, I mentioned the snow globe thing, and I don't want you to take that literally, but what I do want to do is give you these 3 tips. So if you've got a pen or a pencil, or if you're going to go to the show notes later, okay, these will be in the show notes for you. But the first thing I want you to do is to write down snow globe, not as a literal, but as an inspiration. That's the first thing. The second thing I want you to write down is fairy lights. I think most of you probably know what fairy lights are, but we'll come back to those in just a minute. The third thing I want you to write down is themed ornaments and centerpiece items. Themed ornaments and centerpiece items. All right, so let's go back to the first one. So what do I mean when I say snow globes? Well, if you look around your house, there are only a few basic type of elements that we actually use when we're creating beautiful holiday decor. We create centerpieces, we create toppers for our trees and our tables, and maybe sometimes our bookcases. We create garlands that we can use, in all manner of situations. And then we create like vases and little jars with faux candles and pine cones and things like that in them. And that's where I want you to think in terms of the snow globe inspiration. So there are a gazillion different, how do I use this word, listeners? Sometimes there are lots of craft things that we can do that look super cheap, and I am not an advocate of that. I think your home is too important to incorporate careless, let me put it that way, careless or cheap looking decor. You're worth more, and so is your family atmosphere, the energy that you're putting into your home. Okay, now I'm not talking about kids' DIY stuff. We talked about that last episode, and I'm a huge fan of DIY ornaments and things like that with kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not throwing shade on the kids' artwork. What I am throwing a little bit of shade on is let's not get cheap. I'd rather have you create some really beautiful arrangements, and I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. Let's just tackle that right now. So one of the easiest things you can do to create this whimsical Wonderland look in your Christmas home is to get clear glass containers, vases of varying sizes and shapes. Now, I think we'll go ahead and link some of these in the show notes for you, but you can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Home Goods. You could likely get them at the dollar store. Yes, I said it. You could likely get them at the dollar store. And then what you want to do is you can just use Epsom salts, or you can even use rice in a pinch, or that fake kind of white, I don't even know what you call it. It's almost like a fuzz or a foam or something like that. And you put it in the bottom. And then you can add a faux candle and then some small pine cones or something like that around it. Add some greenery, and that simple touch can actually add a lot of whimsy to bathrooms, powder rooms, front hall tables, dining room tables, family room bookshelves, things like that. So instead of having everything be super classic, one of the ways to add whimsy is to actually think in terms of inspiration from the snow globes. Now, if you want to get super fancy, you can buy that spray snow stuff. I tried that one year. That did not work so well for me. It ended up all over everything. I was like, I'm leaving that to the pros from now on. But a super simple way to do it is to just go ahead and get clear vases, clear glass vases, put faux candles, greenery, and pine cones in. That's a very simple way to do it. All right, the second thing that you can do is get the little fairy lights. Now, I think most of my listeners probably know what the fairy lights are. But one of the things that I've found is that bunches of fairy lights in diverse locations has a much greater impact than a whole bunch of fairy lights strung out over the whole space. So having fairy lights in a beautiful vase on your entry hall table that are on a remote control or on a timer can really add to the ambiance of your holiday home. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just making sure that you have them grouped with these vases and these other, maybe you can get a little woodland creature and you can put that in the vase. It's just a sweet bit of fun and whimsy. Now, the next thing I want to share with you, the third tip, is actually using what we call themed Christmas tree ornaments. Now, every year, even for my own home, I will go out and I'll buy a grouping of new ornaments. Now, in the past, there was one year where I got a whole bunch of reindeer. They were like reindeer antlers. And they were very pretty. I mean, they were lovely. They were about the size of my palm. They weren't huge, but they were in an ornament fashion. And I actually used them with ribbon on the back of the dining room chairs. And it was the sweetest little touch of whimsy. Again, a lot of times we think in terms of only putting ornaments on the trees, but just a little bit can go a long way. So I want you to think a little bit outside the box for this episode. And especially if you are like Anne, I love classic. I love, just a beautiful, conservative, elegant, perfect tree and perfect holiday home. I get it. But just a little bit of whimsy can give your eyes a place to light up. It's like you walk in the room and you're like, oh, there's something new there, right? So think about that as you're putting together this holiday season. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever incorporated the quote Winter Wonderland look? Let me know. Make a comment on the blog, make a comment on our Instagram or our YouTube channel. Let us know. Right? I'd love to know. And if you have great ideas about Winter Wonderland that we haven't covered, I'd love to hear from you as well. So let's talk about the key takeaways for this year. And this is especially for you who love the super traditional Christmas look. I think that those three ways that I talked about, taking inspiration from the snow globes, that's number one. Taking inspiration or using the little fairy lights in little clumps and clusters in various locations on a timer or on a remote control. And then using themed tree ornaments that have that Winter Wonderland look, maybe on the backs of chairs or in unexpected places. Those three simple tips can actually bring a touch of whimsy to even the most classic homes. How fun would it be to spend a day working on your holiday home design? What would it be like if you could actually create a storyline and a color story for your holiday home? Well, we have an opportunity for you that is new this year called Holiday Decor Live. My team and I have an entire day set aside where you can come in and out and workshop with us and learn how we create fabulous, beautiful, stress-free holiday homes. We'll be sharing with you our happy holiday decorator system and the same process that we train our professional and certified holiday designers in. You can find out more information about the upcoming Holiday Decor Live Masterclass on our website at www.holidaydecorhome.com. Don't miss this one, friends. On January 1st, you're going to be sad if you missed this year's Holiday Decor Live. We have a seat with your name on it. Again, you can find out more information at holidaydecorhome.com. So I want to thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Holiday Decor Podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us over on our social media platforms. We've got an Instagram. It's called @HolidayDecorSchool. We have a Facebook professional page. Again, it's called @HolidayDecorSchool. And then we've got our YouTube channel, the Holiday Decor Training Institute, and we have the show notes and the blog. So make sure you're subscribed and you're liked and you're on the email list and take advantage of all of the free trainings that we have just for you. This is Ann McDonald signing off with this week's episode of the Holiday Decor Podcast. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. Make sure to check out those show notes at www.holidaydecorhome.com. I want to invite you to subscribe, rate, review, and share the Holiday Decor Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere awesome podcasts are found.
Thank you for listening. For more information and tips on how to turn your home into a place of joy this holiday season, please visit holidaydecorhome.com.